Picture this, it's the very end of the 17th century. Two colossal powers, the Habsburg and Ottoman empires, are in a death grip over the future of Europe. What we're diving into today is the story of one single, brutal battle that decided everything, and the two incredible commanders whose lives were about to crash into each other on that bloody field.
I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, right? How can just a few hours completely redraw the world as we know it? Well, in this case, it absolutely did. A single day's fighting didn't just seal the fate of two empires, it literally redrew borders that people had been fighting over for centuries. So, let's get into how it all went down.
So, meet one of our main characters, Prince Eugene of Savoy. He'd go on to become one of the most famous generals of his era. But here's the thing, his path to glory was anything but guaranteed. Actually, he was an outcast, a guy who was never even supposed to see a battlefield, let alone command a whole army.
But before we get into his wild backstory, let's zero in on the moment that changed everything. The date, September 11th, 1697. The place, a little bend in the River Tisa, in what's now Serbia. Right here, the Ottoman and Habsburg armies are hurtling towards each other, and the shockwaves from this one fight, well, they're going to be felt for generations.
Okay, to really understand this clash of titans, you gotta know the men leading the charge. And on the Ottoman side, we have a commander whose rise was just, well, meteoric. He was a man of incredible talent and, let me tell you, ambition. His name was Elmas Mehmed Pasha, and that first name, Elmas, it's the Turkish word for diamond. It was a nickname, and it fit him perfectly. He was known for his razor-sharp mind and, frankly, his dazzling charisma. But don't let that fool you. He was way more than just a handsome face. He was a brilliant strategist and a tough commander.
And his climb to the top was just mind-blowing. He basically shot through the Ottoman government like a rocket. In 1688, he's a high-ranking official. Just 1 year later, boom, he's a minister. And by 1695, he's got the top job, Grand Vizier, the most powerful man in the entire empire after the Sultan. To do all that so young, it just shows you what a force he was.
And this guy wasn't just a one-trick pony. While he was out on the battlefield, handing defeats to the Habsburgs, he was also fixing one of the biggest problems back home, a tanking economy. He completely reformed the currency, getting rid of the devalued junk and minting new, solid gold and silver coins. He wasn't just a general, he was a nation builder.
All right, now let's meet the man who is about to face this diamond from across the river. And his story, wow. It's all about rejection, defiance, and a prince who had to fight tooth and nail just to get a chance.
Just listen to this quote. It's from King Louis XIV of France, the Sun King, maybe the most powerful monarch in Europe. And he's talking about a young Prince Eugene. He called him an angry sparrowhawk. You can just feel the defiance, right? Well, underestimating that little sparrowhawk would turn out to be a massive mistake for the king.
You see, Eugene was born into French nobility, but his family had him pegged for a quiet life in the church. He had other ideas. He was desperate to be a soldier, but when he asked King Louis for a commission, he was flat out rejected, humiliated. So what does he do? He makes an incredibly bold move. He flees France and goes straight to Vienna, offering his sword to France's #1 enemy, the Habsburgs. And guess what? Emperor Leopold I welcomed him with open arms.
And there you have it. The stage is set. You've got the diamond, the celebrated hero of the Ottoman Empire, and you've got the prince, the rejected outcast who found his purpose fighting for his home country's enemy. Their two worlds are about to collide at the River Tisa, and it all comes down to one single fatal mistake.
In what has to be an incredible stroke of luck, or maybe just military genius, Prince Eugene's scouts discover the Ottoman army at its absolute most vulnerable. They're trying to get their entire force across the river on a single, flimsy pontoon bridge. Their army is split in two. Their cavalry is on one side, infantry on the other. It's a total mess. For a commander like Eugene, this was a dream come true, a golden opportunity you might only see once in a lifetime. He didn't wait. He ordered an immediate all-out attack.
You know, this quote barely even begins to describe the absolute carnage that happened next. The Ottoman lines just collapsed. Panic ripped through the army like a disease. What should have been an orderly defense turned into a mad, desperate scramble for the bridge. But there was no way out. It was a death trap.
For Prince Eugene, this was a victory bigger than he could have ever imagined. For the Ottomans, it was an absolute catastrophe. And right in the middle of that swirling chaos, our two commanders were about to meet two very, very different fates. This was the end for the brilliant statesman, the great reformer, the diamond,
Elmas Mehmed Pasha wasn't killed by a Habsburg bullet or blade. No, his end was far more tragic.
Can you just picture the scene as he's desperately trying to rally his men to create some kind of organized retreat to save what was left of his army? He's swarmed by his own terrified soldiers. In the pure chaos and panic, they turned on their own leader. The Grand Vizier was killed, suffocated with a bowstring by his own troops. The contrast is just unbelievable. As the sun finally sets on that horrific scene, Prince Eugene is writing back to his emperor with this poetic, triumphant message. It's almost mythical. For him, it felt like the heavens literally paused to watch him win. For Elmas Mehmed Pasha, that same sunset just brought a brutal, humiliating death.
This wasn't just a battle. It was a geopolitical earthquake. The Ottoman defeat wasn't just bad, it was so total, so devastating, that it fundamentally changed the direction of their empire, forever.
A couple of years later, the Treaty of Karlowitz made it all official. The results of that one day of fighting were laid out in black and white. The Ottoman Empire had to give up all of Hungary. This was huge. It basically ended their centuries-long expansion into Central Europe. And who filled that power vacuum? The Habsburg Empire, which became the new dominant force in the region for the next 100 years. All of that because of what happened on one September day.
And so it really all comes back to this one question, doesn't it? We've got two brilliant leaders here, the Diamond and the Prince. One built his career on pure talent and reform, the other on pure grit and defiance. But at the end of the day, was it their genius that decided the fate of Europe? Or was it just chaos? The simple, uncontrollable panic of terrified men on a bridge. A single moment that spiraled out of anyone's control. What do you think?